And shalom, everyone. Shalom. I want to welcome everyone back to the House of the Lost Sheep of Israel. I'm Elder Michael Johnson, the pastor and overseer here. And today, this afternoon, we're going to be taking a closer look at something that I taught back on understanding and comprehension. And we need to take a closer look at this and something that I've been speaking about on what we need to do. Fear not the sentence of death. Fear not the sentence of death. This is a serious subject. Many people, they fear death. They fear death for many different reasons. And we have to find out what is going on and why Sirach 41:3 even says that. But the main thing is, we should not fear death. See, God said that. And since we shouldn't fear death, it's, as it says, it's a time to be born and a time to die. We even seen that in earlier today's lesson. We are born into this world. And we have to remember a couple of things. When we're born in this world, the things in this world keep flesh alive. The things in this world keep flesh alive. But it doesn't mean, since it keeps flesh alive, that you still should fear death, because death is a part of life. But if we remember, and if we know what we're doing, if we following Christ, we know that is not the end. Death is not the end of the road. God created these fleshly bodies to return to the ground as it was. So we need to get in and understand what's happening here. Understand why we going through what we're going through and why we shouldn't fear it. And same as earlier, we back here again in Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 2. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to be plucked up, in a time that which is planted. We went through this, but we have to see the flip side. The flip side of this. Because born spiritually meaning is begotten. Begotten spiritually meaning is one willing to serve. And we have to be willing to serve, meaning this. We have to present our bodies as a living sacrifice. A time to die. So we have to mortify the functions of the body of the flesh. I want you to really pay attention to what's going to go on. Because then we're going to understand you should not fear death. I want to show you something, and we're going to start marching through this. In Sirach chapter 41, we're going to pick it up at verse 9, though. And I want to show you something. And it was written down, and we need to look at it a little bit closer. Because it says, including providing if ye be born. So providing you be born. So providing you are willing to serve, providing that ye shall be born to a curse. I want you all to think about that. If we're going to be born, we're going to be born to a curse. I want you to think about that. I want you to think about that. We're here. Each and every one of us, we looking in that we all are born to a curse. And it says, in providing ye die, a curse shall be your portion. Death. Everybody okay? If you're not okay, just let me know. Because we got to dig into this. If we okay, yes, not, no. It's cool. I get it. I get it. I understand where many people stand on this position. But we have to go through and push through this. And you just sit there, but I want you to understand something, because we all understand it together. We can go through it. So I get some that say they're okay. I get it. I completely get it. I same as I fear needles. I fear needles, and I'm not scared to say it. I'm not scared to say that. But we have to understand one thing. You're here. You all are physically here. So since we're here, we are born with a curse. And that curse is going to inherit its portion, death. But we have to be willing to serve flesh, meaning this. I want to show you what's going on in Deuteronomy chapter 28. We're going to look at verse 37. And this is part of what we have to present our bodies as living sacrifices. This is one of the parts. And right here in Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 37, it says, including thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb and a byword. Think about that. You're going to become, once you are born, you are willing to serve, and you giving your body as a living sacrifice, wholly acceptable unto God, and you are born, you're going to be born according to the flesh with the curse of death, and you're going to become an astonishment and a proverb and a byword among all nations, whether the Spirit of God shall lead thee. Think about that. Think about that. We are led to these places we led, but we being the byword, and we are human similitudes to everyone among us. The Spirit of God has brought us here for a reason. However, many will think, many believe, many see us as slavery, as slaves. Jeremiah even said that. Jeremiah brought that up once before. You see where he said this, and he really was trying to figure this out. But at the time, he was young. He was young at the time, and when he sat there and he went and he spoke to God, he said, "Is Israel a servant? Is Israel a servant?" He's asking the Spirit of God, "Is Israel a servant?" He said, "Is he a homeborn slave? Is he just bred to be a slave? Why is he spoiled? Why?" We was born, we was begotten, we was willing to serve, and we got to remember what we're here to do. Just like I said, we're here to do a work. We got to understand what the work is. See, that's why you see in Jeremiah chapter 2, because he was young. The time he's talking about that. But we're here to present our bodies a living sacrifice, wholly acceptable unto God, which is our reasonable service. And with our service, that's where Christ can rest in us, to where he can do the work, and we have to mortify the flesh. and to make sure everybody's okay. The same as doctors tell people, the same they have to tell me all the time if I'm going to get a shot. You okay? You okay? You okay? And they do all that. They talk to me like I'm like a 6-year-old kid. But they know I fear needles. But the thing is, I'm gonna ask you guys, are you guys okay? Because I know this is a sensitive subject. But if you're born and you're begotten, you're willing to serve God, are you okay with that? Because we can keep moving forward. But I need to know, because I want to make sure you're okay as we go through and you're not getting no surprises. That's all I want to know. Are we good? And if we're good, we just going to keep moving forward on. Now, what I want you to understand what's going on with this. I want you to understand one thing with this. He said he need a body. We know that says that in Romans chapter 12, verse 1. Present your bodies as a living sacrifice, wholly acceptable unto God, which is our reasonable service. So where he can rest in us, to where he can do a work, because we, these bodies, has to do something. These bodies have to do something. And with these bodies have to be doing something, we have to understand what they're here to do. And we turn this body over to Christ, which shouldn't be a bad thing, because everything good is from Christ. We might just don't like the way that he's going about it. That's fine. That's understandable. However, I want you to understand, he came here because he wants us to warn Israel. He wants us to warn Israel. And you see here what it tells us here. So he brought his word. He needs his word to rest in the body. Once it rests in the body, we're going to go out and we're going to tell Israel to repent, to remember, to return to the covenant, which was with the Spirit of God, which is the reason Christ came, because he was offering reconciliation. We see this here in 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 19. It says, to wit, God was in Christ reconciling the world unto himself, not imputing their trespasses. He's not forgiving those. He's not sitting there talking about that. But he have committed unto us the word of reconciliation. That's what he came to do. So he's resting in these bodies. Mine, yours. Ones who's truly willing to present their bodies a living sacrifice. Wholly acceptable unto God. You truly doing that, this is you. This is why I say it's okay. I get it, to where many people is nervous when you start really looking at it for what it really is. And is by no means clearing trespasses, mean offenses, and these iniquities against the Spirit of God. But he's offering to Israel a word of reconciliation. This is to guide us to Shiloh. Shiloh, whose right it is. The right to Christ, the anointed one. Reconciling the word, and the word is going to the 12 tribes. In fact, I want to show you this to make sure what we're doing here, because most people are going to still mix up stuff and they go, oh well, it's talking about the whole world. No, he's not. He made sure he pinpointed what was going on. In Sirach chapter 44, verse 23, you see, he said this. He made it rest upon the head of Jacob. He acknowledged him in his blessings, gave him a heritage, and divided his portion, who Jacob divided his portion among the 12 tribes, among his 12 sons. Did he part them? This is where he parted them. So now when we see and we look at certain things, the same thing, like we can go here, just for example. I just want to show you something for example. We're going to look at this in John 3:16. Just for an example, I want to show you this. And he parted these to 12 tribes. And you see here where it says, for God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten Son. Whosoever believe on him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. But it's telling you here, and the reason why part of the middle of the book was taken out to where you couldn't see this. Because he divided them to them. So when you're sitting there and people are saying, well, it's still saying the world, I get that. I get that. But the same one who is Ezra's, who in his Greek name is Idris, he was explaining it here. When we look at 2nd Idris chapter 14, picking it up at verse 11. Because now we know what the world is. He divided the world into 12 parts. And the 10th part of it was gone already, which he was talking about the other 10 that was taken away, that was stripped out when you go back to Kings. So when you see John 3:16, when it's saying, for God so loved the world, we know it's talking about those 12 tribes. So it's not rocket science. But people still want to look at it a different way. And we still got to remember, we're going to be a proverb, a byword. People are going to think many different ways. People are going to see us as nothing. I know that's kind of bad. They're going to see us as nothing wherever we go. We are spread through all four corners of this world, but Christ is resting in many of us. And we're going to be seen as a proverb, a byword. And people will start seeing us and they not going to think anything of us. Nothing. I want to show you something. That's why I say it's hard to take in a lot of ways. But I want you to really understand where he's coming from, because he have to present these bodies a living sacrifice. And he don't want you giving and taking, because we have to follow this through. In Lamentations chapter 2, we're going to find out some interesting information on what this is talking about. The reason why I want you to see this, because he's going to speak something which all of us need to really understand, to really start pulling this closer into us. It says, what thing shall I take to witness for thee? What thing should he take to witness for? It says, what thing should I liken to thee, O daughter of Jerusalem? That's all of us. That's all of us. It says, what shall I equal to thee, that I may comfort thee, O virgin, pure one, daughter of Zion? He keep pointing it back to us. It says, for the breach is great like the sea. The breach. And breach is talking about a trespass. That's why this breach is there. This breach, this trespass is great among these people. So this breach is so bad, and he's saying it's bad, you know it's bad. So he made a covenant with these people. He made a covenant with us. We got to understand what that covenant is. So God said the same thing as we continually going through here. I said, what? He said, present your body as a living sacrifice, because I need to let these people know what they're doing. I got to let them know what they're doing. And he made these bodies watchmen to give each one of these people some information. We'll find this recorded over here in Ezekiel chapter 3, verse 17. It says, Son of man, I have made thee a watchman unto the house of Israel, unto the the daughters of Zion. That means all of us. It says, therefore, hear the word at my mouth and give them warning from me. Repent. He is put in a place to where he given us this word of reconciliation. It's all there. It's all there. But what are we willing to do with that? What are we willing to do with that? He put us in this position because we have to understand what he was talking about. But he couldn't come in and couldn't use certain things to lure us to it. He had to come a certain way. Because if he would have came the other way, he become rich, everybody's going to come. But if you come the other way, it's different. If you come the other way, it's 100% different. You see it's recorded here in 2 Corinthians chapter 8, but we look at verse 9. It says, for ye know that the grace of our Creator of salvation, of the Anointed One, that though he was rich, yet for your sakes, for mine and yours, he became poor, that we through his poverty might be rich. Everybody with me? So what he did, he couldn't look so different. So he had to clothe us. I'm going to show you this here where we're going to start seeing the journey on what we're doing. We look at Genesis chapter 3. And you'll see where we start going through this journey. They recorded this here in Genesis 3, verse 21. It says, unto Adam, that's to mankind. When we look at, actually, let me go there so we won't get it mixed up. Because I want to make sure, because we have new people over here and everything else, but I want to show you who Adam is. In Adam, when you look at Genesis chapter 5, verse 2, it's telling you. It says, male and female created he them, plural, and blessed them, plural, and called their plural name Adam. So unto Adam, the man and the male, the female and the female, the male and the female, including his wife, did the Spirit of God make coats of skin. Coats of skin. Did we look at that real good? It says, unto Adam and his wife, also his wife. Did we catch that? Or did we miss something? Adam and also who? Christ. The Word. It had to rest in something. So Adam, including his wife, the Spirit, did the Spirit of God clothe with the skin and clothe them. That's interesting. Highly interesting. And once he clothed them, we can go out and be like everybody else in the world. And it's telling you, thy prophets have seen vain and foolish things for thee, including they have not discovered thy iniquity to turn away thy captivity. No, we can't. But have seen for thee false burdens and cause of banishment. It's right there, right in front of us. Right in front of us. We have these things, we have not discovered thy iniquity, and we turn away our captivity. We warning people, people don't believe it. Warn people, they don't believe it. You warn them on this, they don't believe it. It's weird. We don't want to take anything for good. Just don't believe it. We don't believe it. In fact, I don't know why it does that. Let me blank this out real quick. 1 second. Then let me go back and we want verse 16. I don't know why sometimes it'll highlight all of them. But we want to sit there and see where it gets into here for our banishment. And look at verse 15. And it says, all that pass by, they pass by, clap their hands at thee. People pass us by and they clapping their hands at us. They hiss and wag their heads at the daughter of Jerusalem. They doing this to all of us. Saying, is this the city that men call perfection and a beauty, the joy of the earth? He closed. He became poor, though he was rich. That we present our bodies as a living sacrifice, wholly acceptable unto God. He couldn't use nothing rich. Rich, everybody's going to come. Everybody want a piece. But if you come poor, he's in these bodies. We are one of the most despised people on the face of this earth. I don't care how you look at it, how you flip it out, how you script it out. The black race of people is one of the most hated people without a cause, just based on what we look like. People look at us that we are automatically associated with dumb. When they look at us, they associate to us dumb. They associate to us ignorant. They used to associate to it, which some of them still do. They associate to us monkeys. They associate us to seeing us as anything. Weeds that just need to be killed. The cops use us for target practice. How to administer chokeholds on people. Oh, this one broke. What happened? He died. He broke. Well, he's a gang member. Just put it on TV that he was a known gang member. He was a drug head. We are a proverb, a byword among all nations. People just look like, look at this. Another gangbanger died. And we had a nerve to sit and tell people we are the chosen children of God. Now you see why 15 is. Because we don't come in lavish stuff. Super fine clothes and high-end shoes and golden spoons in our mouths. No, he was rich, but he had to come a certain way, come through us. So when we sit there and say, no, we're the children of God, people are looking like, what? Who are you? They clap their hands and hiss and wag their heads. Saying, is this the city men call perfection, a beauty, the joy of the earth? It's you? If that's you. No, you stay where you are. I'll stay over here. You go back to the slum area where you are, and let me go back over here. Let me go get in my fine new car. You go get in that jalopy or catch the bus. They will put us in slavery. They'll kill us with hatreds, injustice, just being black. Being born, that's what a curse. But we have to be willing to serve, being born. We have to be willing to serve to the end. And to this end, we have to serve. No one knows the true reason of these positions. No one knows the real reasons of these positions. I want to show you and make sure that we understand the vow that's being made between us and God. We'll see this here in Deuteronomy chapter 23. We'll see it's recorded right there in verse 21. Just within our contract. It's within the contract. But some of us want to alter that contract. But we want to look at the contract. It says, when thou shalt vow a vow unto the Spirit of thy God, thou shalt not slack to pay it, for the Spirit of thy God will surely require it of thee, including it will be sin in thee. I want you to think about that for a second. I want you to think about that one. People saying, what? Yeah, that's hard to take. It's going to require it. But it says, including it will be sin in thee. If we made a vow with God, but some people want to get out the vow. They don't like what is going on. A lot of people don't like the position on what they see what's going on in the world. They don't like the position they're in. So since they don't like the position, someone want to change the position. I just want to remind you when we look at Sirach, then it was reiterated. Not amended, it was reiterated. In Sirach chapter 18, verse 22, it says, let nothing hinder thee to pay thy vow in due time, and defer not until death to be justified. Because death, you can't pay it. Death, you can't pay your vow. So don't hinder it. Everybody okay? Is everybody okay? We just getting a better understanding on don't fear death. It's cursed. The curse is here. We have to understand what the deal is. We have to understand what's going on here. See, as they walk by and they clap their hands at us, they do these things. We go through everything that's happening. We vow. And it's not a strange thing, because we're going to be reapproached on all kinds of stuff. Always. Reapproached for this, reapproached for that, talked about this, talked about that. But it's telling you we can't hinder not to pay that vow. We have to pay the vow. We vow that we're going to present our bodies a living sacrifice, wholly acceptable unto God, which is our reasonable service. And we already know we're going to die doing that. We're going to die doing that. But there's a bigger picture on the other side. So once we know that, and we already know what the agreement is, and he warns us, Peter gives us a pep talk. You see it here in 1 Peter chapter 4, looking at verse 12. It says, beloved, think it not strange concerning fiery trials, which is to try you, as though some strange thing happened unto you. Don't think it's strange. I told you about one time, I was younger, I was working for my dad, And I'm trying to get to, I leave real early and I wanted to eat, so I go to Denny's. When I was in the predominant at the time as a young man, it was in my early 20s. I went in Denny's, they sat me, and I sat down. And people was coming in, and there's people coming in, and I'm sitting there. I already knew what I wanted. And once they come, they went to the next people, and I knew I was there before them, but I look over, well, they might have looked over at me. So I'm not no big deal. It was a couple of them. And I took it as that. And some other people that came in sat 5-10 minutes later. 2 minutes later, they came in and took their order. I'm still sitting there. And I asked them, hey, excuse me, I've been sitting there, I'm ready to order. They said, okay, I'll be right back. They brought the other one's food, and they kept doing this, never took an order from me. But they knew, I guess, being young, they said, okay, he's going to get frustrated, he's going to get upset, he's going to leave. And, I didn't say anything to him. I just got up and I left. Sitting there thinking, okay, you want to be that rude? I'm going to leave. And I did. But that was the point that they wanted to make to me. I'll sit you, but I'm not going to serve you. Don't think that fiery trial won't come at you in some kind of way, shape, form, or fashion. It can come strong, it can come light. And don't think concerning these fiery trials will come. Don't think they won't come. Even one time when, I let people know I was a street racer. It's not a big deal. But I remember one time I wasn't doing absolutely nothing. I was crossing Crenshaw on Slauson. As soon as I crossed it, some cops pulled me over. And I knew I wasn't speeding anything. So I already knew I was fine. And back then, you get out the car and talk to them. So as soon as they pulled me over, get out the car. And we talking. They talking about my car, and I'm talking to them. One of them, he decided to go look at my car. And I asked him, what day? So the guy pulls out a gun. I say, hey, this gun was under the seat. Oh, man, that's not my gun. Oh, yeah, it's your gun. Yeah, I found it under there. So I said, now, dude, you can say whatever. I said, well, I tell you what. I ain't got nothing else to say. Take me to jail. Never been to jail, but take me to jail. Because I wasn't going to touch the gun. Because I wasn't going to let them pin something where they can say it was my gun. And then once he finished, he said, can you take a joke? I said, no. He said, yeah, that's his throwaway gun. Okay. Still wasn't a joke. But they thought it was funny. They thought it was really funny because they sitting there like, oh man, you sitting there, I thought you were going to get really nervous and everything. No, dude, it's not funny. So before I can get a number off of them on anything, they got in their car and they left. But what they wanted was someone to beg and cry. No, that's not my gun. That's not my gun. That's not my. Wanted me to do, I guess, everything under the sun. I guess since they didn't get the reaction they wanted, it wasn't fun anymore. Fiery trials, because it could have turned out a bad way. They could have sat there and had me to put the hand on the gun and then ran me into jail sitting there, and the gun could have been a dirty gun. Could have put me right in jail behind it. Fiery trials that happen. And we don't see those coming. But he tells us a lot more about this in verse 14. He says, but rejoice as much as ye are partakers of Christ's suffering. Because he's going to be wrongly accused, which he was, saying he was a servant of God, and sitting there, no, you're not. And he suffered for it. He died. That anointing went and died for that. It says that when his glory shall be revealed, ye may be glad also with exceeding joy. A lot of us going to experience many harsh things from people. Suffering, as Christ did. Blame for stuff you don't have nothing to do with. Talked about, don't have nothing. You was even in the vicinity of that. They're going to blame you for it. You'll be the first hired, first fired. For no reason whatsoever. You can be the first hired. They'll train you, and then you will be good at what you're doing. They'll have you training somebody else. And then they give them your job, promote them over you, or they will even fire you. It happens. Fiery trials, that happens. Fiery trials that will keep going on with you. And he's making sure, he says, providing ye be reapproached. You're going to be talked about. Look at that so-and-so over there. Who do they think they are? You ever said a word or did anything? Who do you think you are? You think you better than everybody else? No, I'm just here just working. But just because it said, if you be reapproached for the name, for the way of Christ, because that's all name means. That's all it means, is the way of Christ. Happy are ye, happy are you, for the spirit of glory, including of God, rested upon you. On their part, Christ, the ways of Christ, is even spoken of. Oh, do you do this? No, I don't do that. Who do you think you are? I don't think I'm anybody. I just don't do that. Well, we're going to go out here and we're going to do this. Well, I'm good. I'm going to go over here. You're not going to get into it? No, I don't do that. Who do you think you are? Now, all of a sudden, you become one of the most hated persons on the job. Evil spoken of. He think he, she thinks she. But on your part, he is glorified. And as it tells you, and we see this, we get to starting now some things. They will do stuff to you so badly, they will even justify themselves in doing it. They will even justify themselves in doing horrible things to you. And think nothing about it. Absolutely nothing. And justify it. You see this in Zechariah chapter 11, verse 5. It says, whose oppressors slay them, including hold themselves not guilty. You know how many people go through this? And they'll hold themselves 100% not guilty. Especially if there's no camera. This is actually a video. You can actually go online and see it. One of the simplest ones. Now, the little girl, it was a little black girl. She was trying to raise money to where she can go to Disneyland. So she decided to sell water right in front of her apartment. She was selling for $1 or $2. I don't know what she was selling it for. But she's selling water. And this woman got so upset, saying she's yelling and she's not. People buying water all the time. People who don't look like her. But this one lady was highly upset. She called everybody she could on this little girl. On the little girl for selling water. And you trying to figure out what was the big deal. with the little girl selling water. She's not out there trying to do anything else but just sell water to where she can make it what she wanted. Evil spoken of. She's out there making noise. She's doing this. She's doing that. She's doing this. But on your part, he's glorified. So what they do, the oppressors that slay them, hold themselves not guilty. When they seldom say, blessed be the Spirit of God, I am rich, and their own shepherds pity them not. It's interesting, isn't it? Highly interesting. It says, but none of you suffer as a murderer. That is what we don't want to do. We don't want to suffer as a murderer, or as a thief, or as an evildoer, or as a busybody in other men's matters. Most people we can understand these things. You know, I was in the business world. I get on the elevator with a suit on, and sometimes there'd be a few people on there. And when I walk on the elevator, white women will see me. Suit doesn't matter. They will either move their purse to the other side or they'll clutch their purse. Happens all the time. You want to say something, but you just don't say what you're going to say. You don't say anything. Just, man, this is bad. I even was on the elevators and they see, and once they get ready to get on, they'll see you the only one on there. No, that's okay. You can go ahead. I'm trying to go the other way. But they was walking to the elevator as they getting on, but as soon as they spot you, brakes hit, no, go ahead. I'm trying to go the other way. Well, while you was walking, because I know the sign was outside showing you if the elevator was going up or down. But it's not my prerogative to tell them, oh, if he was going up, he looked like he was going up. It's stupid to argue with them. All you do, okay. And you move on. Because many people, the same as what happened to Black Wall Street in Oklahoma, based on a lie, a whole town behind a lie suffered as a murderer, suffered as a thief, saying that this kid did something to this woman. Behind a lie. People don't look at these things, but we have to look at them. People don't hold to what these things are, but we have to hold to them. We have to make sure we pay attention to what is going on. A lot of people will look over it. But we have to pay attention to what's going on. See, when people sit there, they say they can sympathize with you. The only way they can sympathize with you, they got to walk in your skin that you walk in. And then they can experience what you experience. But not to do that based with God, but what we have to do. That we made a vow, not to them, but we made a vow to God. That vow is with Him. He's going to use that body whichever way He feels or chooses. When you look at this and you go over here to verse 16 in Lamentations, chapter 2, verse 16. It says, all thy enemies have opened their mouth against thee. All of them have opened their mouth against thee. They hiss, they gash their teeth. They say, we have swallowed her up. Certainly this is the day that we look for. We have found, we have seen it. Our enemies will open their mouths against us in every way possible. And see in gash, and understand what gash is. Gash is anger, because it said they hiss and gash in anger. In anger. And when they talk about swallowed, I mean they have consumed, they have devoured us. People are sitting there saying, is this supposed to be the beauty and perfection of the chosen people of God? No, that's it. No, I don't want no parts of it. Israel is born of flesh. Born is begotten, willing to serve with the curse of death. This is the portion of flesh. This is the inheritance of flesh. Undoubtedly, we are born into this world, and we're born into this world of death, which means we should not fear it. We was formed for that very exact reason. We was formed for that reason alone. In fact, let me take you somewhere to help you, to remind you what our things are. You see, Jeremiah wrote on this. Jeremiah wrote this. He says, before I formed thee, and this is Christ talking, before I formed thee in the belly I knew thee, including before thou comest forth out of the womb I sanctified thee. He separated us, including I ordained thee a prophet unto the nation. I ordained thee as a mouth willing to serve me. He ordained us. Think about this. We have these things going on, but we choose to do things another way. We try to do things a whole nother way, and we need to be doing the things on what we should and what we agree to. Present our bodies a living sacrifice, wholly acceptable unto God, and whatever He takes us, He takes us. Wherever we go, we go. He ordained us. We have to trust God. We have to trust God. Not try to adjust it and change something our way. We have to trust God. Present our bodies a living sacrifice, wholly acceptable unto Him. As it says in Isaiah chapter 49, verse 1, it says, listen, O isles. O isles. This is talking about the Gentiles. Talking about real Gentiles. O isles. Listen, O isles. Actually, let me go ahead and just make sure we understand what's going on. Because I guarantee you, we will get somebody sit there like, oh, no, they ain't talking about that. But I'm getting ready to show you what's going on. We're going to look at this, and this is the generation of Noah. This summer was nothing but notes, but I have to put it there just to make sure, because we do have people who like to come in and put a lie out. But we talking about Noah, his sons. It's talking about Shem, Ham, and Japheth. But it says Japheth, the son of Japheth. Now he started naming who these are. But when we get down to verse 5, it says, by these were the isles of the Gentiles. That's them. That's them. So let's not play the game. But people want to play the game. But people like to play stupid games. And it says, O isles, listen, O isles, unto me. For a thought. And he says, including, hearken ye people from far. For a thought. The Spirit of God have called me from the womb. Who? Us. You following this? He called me from the womb. Who? Us. He sanctified us, ordained us a prophet unto the nations. From the bowels of my mother have He made mention of my way. He told us about this, but He gets better. He says, and He have made my mouth. Like people say, oh, John, you sure like to talk. Okay, no, I just like to make sure you get the word. made my mouth like a sharp sword. In the shadow of his hand, of his power, hath he hid me, and made me a polished shaft. He ain't playing here. I'll break some of this down. Let me finish it. He says, in this quiver hath he hid me. But we'll tear some of it down because this polish right here, it's talking about he's refined. He's refined. So he's talking about a refined cornerstone. A refined cornerstone. Actually, I'm going to tell you what, let's do this. Let's do something. We're going to go to Psalms 118. Make sure we clear everything. 118, we're going to pick it up at verse 22. Because this is what's going on. And it says, the stone which the builders refuse is become the head stone of the corner. Not the chief cornerstone, the head stone of the corner. Not the chief cornerstone, the head stone of the corner. It's the difference. It's a difference. But people sit there, oh no, that's talking about Jesus. No, it's not. No, it's not. But people, when they get into these Christian religions, this is what happens. And we'll see it's a difference. In Ephesians chapter 2, picking it up at verse 19, we're going to make sure this is clear for everyone. It says, now therefore, ye are no more strangers and foreigners, but citizens in the saints, including of the household of God. Because now you part of the household of God. So guess what? You one of the head cornerstones. But he says, and are built upon the foundation of the apostles, including prophets, those head cornerstones. It says, salvation of the anointed one himself, salvation of the anointed one himself, being the chief cornerstone, not the head. He's the chief. He's the main focus. In this quiver, this shaft, and we see what he's talking about with the shaft and everything, because he's talking about a shaft, talking about a rod, talking about a scepter, a branch. The quiver is talking about a script. So we understand these things, which holds in the quiver. This here actually holds weapons. It holds like your arrows and stuff like that. That's what that does. So it holds the weapons. So when you actually, want to tell you what, just so we can make sure we taking a lot of different stuff. We're gonna look back at that, but we want to understand what's going on here. But he's telling us we have to do a certain work. Meaning we got to come here and we have to bear our own cross. We have to do this and we have to suffer unto death. We have to present our bodies a living sacrifice, wholly acceptable unto God, and we have to bear that ourselves. He'll be with us, but we got to bear it. We got to bear it. And he's going to make sure we're clear on that. All I'm doing is showing you the contract. My only job is to show us the contract and make sure we understand the contract. In Luke chapter 14, and we're going to see the other piece of this here in verse 27. Because he's telling us right up front. And whosoever doeth not bear his cross. If you're not going to bear your own suffering unto death, which you presented your body as a living sacrifice, wholly acceptable unto God, which is a reasonable service, and you don't bear your own suffering unto death and come after him, that's when you're going to hear that. I never knew you, you worker of iniquity. Because why? You cannot be his disciple. It's impossible. It's impossible. So you're not his disciple. And many people are going to hear that. The reason why, because they'll sit there, Jesus paid it all. They put everything, Jesus. Everything is Jesus. I'm covered under his blood, so I can sin all I want to. didn't come rich. Came poor. But we fell for these dangling things. We fell for all these dangling things. Shiny things. So we go listen to those people. This is why we have the problem. Because we have to suffer unto death. We were shown the path. Not trying to be the ruler of life of flesh, but just to bear witness of the truth. Nothing more, nothing less. Just to bear witness of the truth. I'm going to help out to where I just want to make sure we understand our contract. Because we shouldn't fear death. Because it's in the contract. So we shouldn't fear it. In John chapter 18, and if we look at verse 37. Verse 37 is saying something real particular here. Remember Pilate? Pilate therefore said, Art thou a king then? Yahweh says, Thou sayest I'm a king. To this end was I born. To this end I was born. I'm born to go through what you getting ready to put me through. I'm born to this end for that reason. Because I got to bear witness to something. He's telling you, to this end was I born, and for this cause I came into the world, that I should bear witness unto the truth. Everyone that is of the truth heareth my voice. This is why some people come here and don't know what in the world we talking about. And some people do. Same thing. I taught a lesson today. I know I had to code it because they were going to take it down. So I had to code it. Some people got it. I know some people didn't get it. But we have to bear we have to bear witness. And we have to learn the death and not fear it. And right now is the time to learn, to experience what death is, even now. Because death, we're here. We in here right now. And most people say, well, I don't even know what death is. Everything that you experience, even the experiences that I just told you about, things that I went through, those was things which is of death. That's why I told them to you. And just telling you what they actually are now. Death is someone lying on you. Death is someone who hates you. Death is those things. That's death. And you're going to experience that. So you actually been getting the shot and you didn't know you was getting the shot. Well, some of y'all might don't fear needles. I do. But only way to eternity. The only way to eternity. I want each and every one of you guys to think about this. Because I'm going to ask you again. I'm going to ask you again. The only way to eternity, we have to travel a path in this world. Even for Israel's portion, we have to go through death to get it. My thing is, are you prepared to do that? Are you prepared to go through death to get it? See, some people, they don't care what it takes. Some people can care less what it takes. I just want to get to the other end. See, some people going to do lip service. Some people, they really in. But Israel's inheritance is on the other side of death. Excuse me. And if you want to go on the other side, we have to see what Israel's portion is. And I'm willing to show it to you. So we're gonna go through it. I see people putting in, they in. Let's look at this and see what we got to do. I want you to show you what and not just one person got to go through it. Each and every one of us have to travel this road. Every one of us. But we don't look at every one of us. All we want you to look at is you. No one else, just you. And we're going to get this, we can get through this. So I want you to get some paper. Make sure you have a paper. Make sure you can write this down. Because you're going to see what you're in for. Because we presenting our bodies as living sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto God. We already doing that. So if you're already in, you might want to come a little further. You might want to come further. Let's go through this. And got to go back to Uncle Idris. Most people who know me, they know I'm real partial to Uncle Idris. Real partial to him. But it says this in 2 Idris chapter 7, verse 10. And I said, and he says, it is so, Lord. Then said he unto me, here go the part of the problem. Here's where the party starts. Even so, also, Israel's portion. I don't even want to show you verse 9 because I wanted to look over verse 9. But we ain't going to get it till we do verse 9. But I didn't want verse 9 really to be used at all. But just for the new people, we don't know. And I'm just going to read it, but I'm still not going to highlight it. But it says, if this city is now were given unto man's for an inheritance, if he never shall pass the danger set before it, how shall he receive this inheritance? I'm telling you, I didn't want to show y'all that. I just want you to read it and run into it. Because a lot of people go back and they study it. And they look like, oh, you were the other was talking about. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So, but I didn't want you to run through it. But the main part is this. We want to understand that. Even Israel's portion. So if you fear death, this is the problem. If you fear death, you'll be too fearful to go through it. You'll be too fearful to walk through there. Are you with me? 1 second, I gotta do this real quick. Yeah, excuse me, I had to. But we want to be able to walk through there. We want to be able to walk through here. That's what we want to do. But we don't want to be scared. So this is why we can't be scared of death, because we got to walk this journey. So we join death rather than to learn about death and move on. Because we want immortality. That's what we all want. That's why we all here. We all here seeking immortality. That's what we're seeking. So if we're seeking that, then we shouldn't, then death is just on the table. Okay, you should say, yo, okay, got that. Let's move on. Because I want immortality. Some of us, it might take tomorrow. Some of it might take 20 years. Some of it might take 40 years. Some of it might take 50, 60, 70 years to get it. But don't be afraid to face death, because that's the only way we can get to it. We have to go this journey, because that's what Israel's portion is, eternal life. We want that. So let's look at this a little bit closer now. That's why I said, let's not fear death. Verse 11. It says, because for their sakes I made the world, including when Adam transgressed my statutes, then was decree that is now done. This is why he did it. To show you, remember I showed you way over here. I'm going to go back over there. Remember where I did this over here? Genesis chapter 3, we're going to go verse 21. Remember this? I showed you this. It says, unto Adam also he and his wife and the Spirit of God made coats of skin and clothed them, because you go up there and look, they sinned. They transgressed. They sinned. So since they sinned, they transgressed, he had to decree this. But we in. We got to remember, we all in. So we had these coats of skin, and now we got to travel, and we have to go, and we going through this journey. So as you're going through the journey, the thing you have to look at, you might be standing in line and getting ready to pay for some items, and someone might just sit there and just open up a conversation, and you have to give them the parable. You know, you Israel? What? Yeah. And then you're going to talk to them. And then you're going to hit them with it. Some of them going to sit down, see, you crazy. Okay, cool. You go ahead and pay for your stuff. Some going to sit there like, man, no, this is interesting. You got to tell them. Your body is a living sacrifice, wholly acceptable unto God, and he can do with what he wants with it. So, and he said, we here in these bodies to warn his people. Now we get it. I know some of y'all, they saying, okay, I see what's going on. Did the Most High put us in a trick bag? No. He said, this is how we got to do it. He never puts us in a trick bag, ever. But now we know why we doing what we doing. Now we know why he rests in these bodies. Now we know when we run into people, and those people have these weird things. It's really something about you. Yeah, now you know why. But it gets better. Let's get better. Here we go. Let's keep on going down. It says, then were the interests of this world made narrow. Yeah. you give us 2 inches, we'll take 14 miles in the opposite direction. And it says full of sorrow, including travail. It says they are but few and evil, full of perils and very painful. Very painful. It hurts. It hurts as we go through. Sitting there looking at both sides and seeing what's going on. But the main thing is, some of us still see this as a broad road, and that's the road that we don't want to be on. That's why you have to make it narrow. That's why it's narrow. When you see this in Matthew chapter 7, picking it up at verse 14, he's making sure we clearly getting this all together. So as what you see over here, what Uncle Idris is telling us, we're looking over here at 7:14 in Matthew, it says, because straight is the gate and narrow is the way. It's narrow, which leadeth unto life, including few there be that find it. A lot of us going to travel that road, but a lot of us is not still going to find that road. Because the problem is we're going to walk and we're going to be looking from side to side and seeing, oh, let me go into that store. Let me go to that store. Let me go in that store. Let me go in. You get the point. We're going to get distracted. It's narrow. And when it's narrow like that, we get caught up. Because when you go up one verse, it's telling us. It says, enter ye at the straight gate, for the wide is the gate and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction. You go off that little 18 wide inch path and we're going to go right into destruction. And many there be which go in threat. exactly the point. A lot of us gonna go that direction. It's okay. We can go in there. It's okay. No, it's not okay. It's not okay. A lot of us gonna go this direction. I promise you that. A lot of us is on that direction. A lot of us is right here is on that direction. Let's look at this a little bit closer. Verse 13. It says, for the interests of the elder world were wide and sure and brought immortal fruit. but our father Adam them they jacked it up. That's okay. We get off of that. We got to keep moving forward. We got to keep moving forward. So let's go down to verse 14 and find out what's going on and why you shouldn't be afraid, because we got to go this way. We have to go this way. It says, providing then they that live labor not to enter these straight and vain things. We have to go through. You got to see, you got to go by, sit there, you see death over there, you see pig feet over there, you see hog maw over there, you see bacon over there, you see prostitution over here, you see women over there, you see men over here, you see all these things. And then if we labor not to go through that, to understand all these evil and crazy things, they can never receive those that are laid up for them. You seeing all this evil and death as we going through. We see all this craziness, all as we traveling. It's right there in front of us. So he tells us. Now, for that reason, why disquiet this? I'm telling you, why disquiet? Why? Meaning disquiet is mean cause confusion to ourselves. Why are we going to cause our own confusion? Why confuse thyself? That's why he's telling us that. Why are you going to confuse yourself with this? I'm only pausing for a fact because we do it. It'd be our own dang fault. Well, I'm only going to eat it. We're going to tell you what. If I eat pig feet on Monday, I'm good because I ain't going to eat it on Saturday. I'm good. I'm good. We can't get out our own way. We can't get out our own way. Why confuse yourself? Sin, the whole bottom line is this. Sin, the whole bottom line is this. Because I want you to see what he's saying. Sin, thou art but a corruptible man. It's almost like he want to slap us beside the forehead. You ain't nothing but a man. Knowing that stuff gonna tempt your butt. Straight is the gate, and narrow is, you gotta go that narrow way. But I can't go over there. I can't get no bacon. What if I just get a burger with bacon on it? What if I get some shrimp? Well, what about that girl over there? That girl, she keep calling me. I want to fix her. I'm gonna do her in. Tell you, we are worst enemies. We ain't nothing but a corruptible man. So why are you gonna confuse yourself? You can't tell me. I'm telling you. And the only reason I'm laughing because I'm thinking about where they even had these old shows. And the first thing, the man or the woman to sit there and say, she done cheated on her husband. The first thing she'll say is, oh, the alcohol did it. Like the alcohol told her to do it. The alcohol did it. Are you serious? So the alcohol told you, hey, go on and lay with him. Okay. I'm telling you, it's comical. It's comical. Yeah, the guys even said that. Well, I was drunk. I didn't know what I was doing. Really? So why you had sex? You didn't know what you were doing. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just, I was drunk. Really? Interesting. Highly interesting. You're drunk, but you had sex with her, and then you didn't know what you was doing. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Interesting. Corruptible man. M-A-N, mean both of us, man or the woman. So it says, why art thou moved, whereas thou art but mortal? We just mortal. But we keep turning towards stuff of sin. Because he said the road is narrow and we need to stay that way. But we said, no, I can go over there. I'm strong enough to go over there. Really? Interesting. You're a mortal man. In fact, get down here to verse 16. It says, why hast thou not considered in thy mind this thing that is to come? So why in the world we have not considered what is to come? Why? See, if we fear death, if you fear death, you didn't consider the things to come. Now it's a little bit closer. Now this kind of going to make some people uncomfortable. Because if you fear death, you didn't consider that. I used to ask this question all the time. And people still don't know why quite to do it, and might not know why I do it now. But most people know the answer to it. But most people know the answer to what I asked. If you are sitting there and you go underwater without any type of breathing equipment, underwater, what becomes the most important thing to you underwater? What becomes the most important thing to you? And now you underwater, you don't have no type of breathing equipment underwater. What's the main thing most important to you underwater? Is it to live or is it to breathe? You tell me, which one is the most important to you? All you gotta do is put to live or breathe. One of the two. You can't put both. But I guarantee we might get somebody going, I'm gonna put both. I'm just ignorant. But do you want to know which one is the most important to you? You don't have no type of breathing equipment whatsoever. Which is the most important thing to you under there? See, this is what's going on. This is what's happening. So I'm going to tell you right now. Everyone that's underwater and they want to breathe, you looking at the wrong, you missed the focus. You already know, again, I got a lot of people saying that they want to breathe. If you know you're going underwater without any breathing equipment, why is the focus is breathing? What is the focus for? The focus is to live. It's no point in breathing. I'm going to tell you a story. True story. True story. You can go in Africa. In this part of Africa where it can start raining. I wish I had it keyed up because I can show it to you. But I want you to look at this. I want you to look up this fish. And what happened with this fish? It rarely rains in this part of Africa. But when it rains, it pours down. I'm talking about lakes and ponds appear because it rains so much there. And when they do, these fish comes up out of the ground. And once they come up out of the ground, they'll go in there, swim in the water, and they out there laying and cooling and everything else. But as soon as the water leaves, and as it's leaving, before it can leave and it's still got puddles there, those fish will maneuver their way back down into the mud and go all the way back down into the mud deep into there, 3-4 feet into the ground. And their body will slow down to a point. They live in water, but the point is they just want to live. They're not looking to breathe. That's not the point. The point is to live. But if you're sitting there and you're worried about breathing, you got everything all screwed up. That's the point. Then if you wanted to breathe, you shouldn't have never went up underwater without any breathing apparatus. You should have went with some breathing apparatus, knowing that you got to be down there for a minute. Hopefully y'all understand that. Hopefully you guys understand that. So this is what it's talking about here. Why has thou not considered in thy mind the things that is to come? You already know that's going to happen. It says, rather than that which is present. I need to breathe. Okay, you went underwater, you knew you were going to have to breathe. Well, I need to be able to breathe. Didn't you know you had to breathe down there? Didn't you know that? Yeah, I knew it. Okay, but you went underwater and you know you got to breathe. Yeah? It's your own dang fault. It's your own dang fault. Then answered I and said, O Creator that beareth rule, thou hast ordained in thy law. So this is ordained in the law that the righteous should inherit these things. Because the focus was never on breathing. The focus was always on living. And if you got to die that you may live, if you're going to lay down this life to live again, if you're going to sit there and you lay down your life, you have power to pick it up again, why in the world are you worried about breathing? Why in the world are you worried about breathing? He bare fruit, and he ordained in his law that the righteous is going to inherit the kingdom. He's telling you, okay, he said for you to go, you got to travel this way and you want to experience death. So you sitting there saying, well, I don't want to go to that. I got to die. Okay, don't go. And had a second death. We got to understand what's going on. We got to remember what is happening here. We want to make sure the righteous is going to inherit these things, but the ungodly is going to perish. Because as soon as you get down there, every time you go down there, I got to breathe. Why did you go underwater? Why you go underwater then? You shouldn't have ever went underwater. First thing on your mind, you got to breathe. Okay. But that's just to let you guys know how you need to think, what your mind should be like. And it's telling you the same thing. Okay, same what you're looking at. Show you something else. And you paying money to support these men. Righteous. People would pay grown men and they'll support men. Most people say they don't, but they do. I'll tell you how they do. I'll tell you how they do it. They sit there and Sister Watson, okay, I'm telling you what you did this past week, but that's okay. I'm gonna leave you alone today. I'm gonna leave you alone, my sister. I'm gonna leave you alone today. But it is funny. It is funny. But we got people supporting grown men. And they do it like clockwork. We got people who will sit there and they talking about and they supporting them. And then you have these men where they sit there and you got these men where now you got these churches where this man took over $100 million out this fund. I'm telling you, some of this stuff is really just funny. It's bad, but it's funny. The reason why is they stole the money from the people. Now this man took over $100 million out their funds, but didn't God say He gonna put that money where can't no moths get to it, and nobody can take it? Ain't no thieves in there. So that's telling you right there, they working for a thief. It's common sense, but nobody gonna get it. So it's like a dry joke. They had $100 million. They had $120-something million in there. $100 million or so got stolen. So that's telling you right there, those men don't work for God. Because if they did, that money would have never left. It is what it is. It is what it is. So we got some spirits that is temporal. Some bodies, they temporal. They will die. But then you have the spirit that is eternal. So the spirit is going to continue and it's going to live forever. That's the catch. Some of us going to wake up. Once these spirits, some going to wake up into eternal life and some going to wake up into eternal damnation. That's the way it got to work. But it all going to be based on election. Election is the point. Election is the focus. Let's understand that part. Election is the complete focus here. Based on what we just did. Just based on that one little exercise. Based on that one exercise. We see that. We're going to see this in 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 10. 1 Peter 1, verse 10. It says, "Wherefore, the rather, brethren, give diligence to make your calling, including election, sure. For if ye do these things, ye should never fail." Make sure what you're doing and make sure it's sure. Make sure you're sure of what you're doing. Make sure what your choice you're going to make sure you're doing it. We can remember this, and with the help of Sirach, we'll find this out in Sirach chapter 41. Picking this up at verse 1. O death, how bitter is the remembrance of thee to a man that liveth at rest in his possession. How in the world you gonna rest on something that is temporal? Some of you guys might remember The Jerk. I played some clips of that one time. All I need is this. All I need is this. This is all I need now. And he just walk and he just. Some people have rest and live at rest with their possession. Unto man that have nothing to vex him, and hath prosperity in all things. Yea, unto him that is yet able to receive meat. That is interesting. I'm going to show you why this is so interesting. We got to keep all this in mind as we go through here. Because a lot of us, just like I said, a lot of us fear death and come up with these issues. In Matthew chapter 4, looking at verse 8, it says again, the devil taketh him up unto an exceedingly high mountain, and showeth him the kingdoms of the world and the glory of them. Bingo. Got you. I can give you this, I can give you that. But I want to live forever. Oh, I can give you some pills for that. I got some pills that'll make you live forever. You do? Yeah. But God said we're going to die. No. You take this pill, you'll live forever. Really? Yep. You promise? Yep. You know he's a liar. He showed him all the mountains and the kingdoms of the world. And God told him, if you do it with this one, you're going to die. And all he wants is one thing from you. All these things will I give thee, providing thou wilt fall down and worship me. I'm going to give you the breathing apparatus down there you need. I'm going to give you everything you need. I ain't going to let that little joker over there tell you that anymore. We forget we are here to do a job. We are here. See, this even reminds you of those 7 sons with the mother. We're here to do a job. Let me show it to you. We're here to do a straight out job. And most people don't understand the job we have to do. We're here to bear witness to the truth. We'll see this, and this is going to be found in 1 Maccabees. No, 2 Maccabees. I'm sorry. 2 Maccabees. We're going to look at 2 Maccabees chapter 7. And we're going to find something, but we're going to go drop down all the way down to verse 20. Because I want to show you something there. In verse 20. It says, but the mother was marvelous above all, and worthy of honorable memory. She was worthy of honorable memory. It says, for when she saw her 7 sons slain within a space of 1 day, she bared it with a good courage because of the hope that she had in the Creator. Right in front of you. It's right in front of you. The reason why, when we go back over here to Sirach chapter 41, verse 2, it says, O death, acceptable is thy sentence unto the needy, and unto him whose strength faileth, that is now in last age, and is vexed with the things, including to him that despaireth and has lost patience. These things happen. These things is going to happen. And we're just going to run through here just to see and show you what goes on there. I want to show you what goes on there. Let's go back over here. We're going to look at Maccabees, but we're going to go over here to verse 1 to show you why this woman, why her memory was good for what the Most High was saying. It said, it came to pass that 7 brethren with their mother were taken, including compelled by the king against the law. The king against the law to taste, to experience swine's flesh, and swine is contemptible flesh. That's what he wanted them to do. And they was tormented with scourges and whips. That's what happened right here in front of you. And to this end was they born. To this end, to bear witness to the truth. And you see what the first one said. It says, but one of them spake first and said, what wouldest thou ask or learn of us? What you want to know? What you want to know about us? What you want to learn about us about? It says we are ready to die rather than to transgress the law of our fathers. You know, we're going to die for this. We're going to live down in the water. We don't want to breathe. We don't need none of your breathing apparatus. Now we're getting the point. Some of y'all might think get it. Now you should get it now. We don't need your breathing apparatus to breathe to continue to live. We don't need that. He goes on better. Verse 3. Verse 3. Then the king, being enraged, commanded pans of caldrons to be made hot. For what? Then he goes on more, and went forthwith to be heated, he commanded to cut out the tongue of him that spake first. He gonna cut the tongue out of him. What was the point of that? I'm gonna tell you what the point is. The point is cutting out the tongue. The reason he want to make that focus there is the tongue is cutting out the ways, the truths, and the customs that they lived. That's why the tongue was cut out. The one spake first. What you want to learn of us? Oh, you think I want to know your ways, your truth, and your custom? That ain't what I want to know. I just want y'all to eat some flying. I want y'all to experience this. Let y'all know what y'all missing. No, what you want to learn about? No, okay. Since you're talking, take his tongue out. Take his tongue out. We're gonna take care of that. And cut it off out of the othermost parts of his body, and the rest of his brother and his mother looked on. Why they did it. Why that happened. And when he saw he was maimed in all his members, he commanded him, being yet alive, to be brought to the fire and to be fried in a pan. Like he's chicken. Like he's being some chicken. Throw him in the pan. Move him around. This is what you have to really remember. Are you willing to go through this? See, this is when the grease meet the pan. And it says, in the vapors, and as the vapors of the pan was for a good space dispersed, they exhorted one to another with the mother to die manfully. You know, we're going to die manfully. We don't need none of his breathing apparatus. We're going to go underwater and we just going to die. Kill this flesh. Saying thus. And it says, the Creator God looked upon us in truth and had comforted us in, as Moses in his song, which witnessed to their faces, declaring, saying, including he shall be comforted in his servants. That's what they saying. We're gonna drop that knowledge on him. We're gonna drop some of that knowledge on him. But it gets better. It says when the first was dead after this manner, they didn't cut his tongue out and everything else. They brought the second and made him a mocking stock. Made him a mocking stock. And on top of that, and when they had pulled off the skin of his head from his hair, they asked him, wilt thou eat, wilt thou learn before thou be punished throughout every member of thy body? And they didn't pull all the skin off his head. And then they're going to ask him this. To this end were we born. But you'll see, it says, but he answered in his own language. Bingo again. In his own language. And said, no. Wherefore he also received the next torment in order, as the former did. And when he was at the last gaps, he said, thou like a fire, like a fury, takest us out of this present life, but the king of the world shall rise us up. Exactly the point. Who have died for his laws unto the everlasting life. I'm trying to get over the everlasting. This is what I got to do to get across. It's gonna sting just like that needle. It's gonna hurt for a minute. Then it's over. That quick. That quick. It says after him, then the third was made mocking stock, and when he was required, he put out his tongue, and right at the sun, holding forth his hands manfully, and said courageously. But now you can't hardly say that because he got his tongue. These I have heaven, and for his laws I despise them, and from him I hope to receive them again. Insomuch that the king and they were with him marveled at the young man's courage, for that he's nothing regarded his pain. He's sitting there, okay, well, I gotta go. If I have to go, I have to go. And they marvel, oh man, look at the pain he taking. He taking pain. Look how he doing this. They marveled at that. It's silliness. They could have stopped it all ways, but they gonna marvel. Man, look how he taking that pain. Now when this man was dead, also they tormented and mangled the fourth in like manner. You see, they go right to, okay, next up, we're gonna mangle you up. So when he was ready to die, he said thus, it's good being put to death. You see right there? It's good being put to death by men, to look for hope from God, to be raised up again by him. As for thee, thou shalt have no resurrection of life. For you guys, y'all ain't getting up again. Y'all going to the high place. Afterwards, they brought the fifth and mangled him. You see, they mangle him. That's a cold-blooded deal that they doing. And it said, then looked he unto the king and said, thou hast power over men. Power over men. Thou art corruptible. You a man. Thou doest want, thou wilt. See, that's what they want. See, he said, thou doest what thou wilt. Yet, think not that the nation is forsaken of God. Don't you ever think, put in your mind, put in your little memory brain, that God has forsaken them. But abide a while and remember his great power, how he will torment thee, including thy seed. That torment is going to last forever. Forever. It says, after him, also they brought the sixth, being ready to die, and said, be not deceived without cause, for we suffer these things for ourselves, having sinned against our God. Because we came born to die. Therefore, marvelous things are done to us. But think not thou that thou takest thy hand to strive against God. Yeah, because he's a foolish one. It says that thou shalt escape punishment. You see what is going on here. Because he's not going to escape that punishment. You're not going to get out of that. That you're not going to get away from. So let's go on down. We already seen what the woman already said she was going to do. Let's go down to 21. Because we got to get to the last verse 21. Yea, she exhorted every one of them of her own language, filled with courageous spirit, and stirred up her womanish thoughts with a manly stomach. She said unto them, I cannot tell how ye come into my womb, for I neither gave you breath nor life. Exactly the point. Didn't give neither. Neither was it I that formed the members of every one of you. Again, exactly the point. But doubtless the creator of the world, who formed the generations of man, and found out the beginning of all things, will also of his own mercy give you breath and life again, as ye now regarding not yourselves for his law's sake. Exactly the point. That's why some of us are going to hit that hot place in a heartbeat. And when you see this, you'll see this in John chapter 2, verse 19, where we'll see a little bit clear, because he tells you exactly what happens. Because Yahweh answered and said unto them, destroy this temple, and in 3 days I'll raise it up. That's the focus on what we have to do. That's the focus. So when we look at this all together, it's why you see what verse 3 is so important. Fear not the sentence of death. Remember them. Remember them. That you have been before thee, including they come after. For this is the sentence of the Creator over all flesh. This is the sentence of that. So we shouldn't trip. We shouldn't trip at all on none of it. And finishing out some of this and getting a better understanding of this, we're going to look at 2 Corinthians and picking it up at chapter 5, and we'll start at verse 1. We'll start at verse 1. It says, for we know that if our earthly house of this tabernacle were dissolved, killed, we have a building of God, in a house not made with hands, eternal in the heavens. So why are we worried about breathing? For in this we groan earnestly, desiring to be clothed upon with our house, which is from heaven. Exactly the point. Exactly the point. But he goes on more. Verse 3. If we being clothed, we shall not be found naked. For we that are in this tabernacle do groan, being burdened. We burden in flesh. Some of us are going to be burdened for We got to remember that's the point on what's going on here. So with that there, we got to understand what is happening. So the same thing as it says here. It says, for we have wrought us for the self same thing is God, who also have given us the earnest spirit. Therefore we are always confident, knowing that we are at home in the body. We are absent from the Lord when we in these bodies. So when we in the bodies, we're absent from the Lord. And it says, for we walk by faith, not by sight. We are confident. I say, willing rather to be absent from the body and to be present with the Creator. That's the point. That's the point of all things. So with that, we get a lot of things, what's going on here. So we want to understand a lot of this in the sentence of death. So the same thing is when we look at this here, we look at Sirach, and we see the sentence of death is 41:3. But the same one where we picked it up, it's telling us right here. It's a time to be born, a time to die. Time to plant, time to be plucked up. Which is, we born with a curse. We are born with a curse. This is what we got to focus on. So as we continually go through this and we continually look at what's going on, we want to make sure that we understand completely what is happening. Because with that, we know we came here to do a work. And if we came here to do a work, I want to show you this before we go out. We want to add one more there. And we want to make sure, when we look at Deuteronomy 28 and 37, and making sure that it's telling you exactly what it's doing. Let me see if I can get this over. If I can get that over. If I can get that over. And that's what it is. Deuteronomy, it says that thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations, where he gonna lead us. So we know that. So since now we know this, and as it tells us, thou shalt become an astonishment, because we only here to be a testimony to all people. So we shouldn't never fear death. So hopefully that each and every one of us, we understood this was going on. And making sure with each and every one of us that we pretty much clear on what we seen. So I want to check that before I go out. I want to just check before we go out, make sure everybody is good before I go out. So I just want to see yes or no, and they clear. Good, good, good. Okay, everybody is clear. We're good, good. Okay, so now we know why we're here. Now we know what we have to do. Now we know we shouldn't be sitting there worried about what's going on. So with that, I say to each and every person, we appreciate each and every one of you guys. We appreciate you for what you do, and I want to make sure we get some of this stuff here. 1 second. We want to make sure that all that's right, but as we go out, we're going to make sure all this stuff is finished up. But we hope that you guys continue. And the same thing on tomorrow, we'll be picking up on King James Bible University. We'll be going through our Build My Church. We're going to look at that. We're going to take a closer look at it and go through it. So until then, I'll say to each and every person, until next time, shalom.